terms intuition. And I've been feeling like this ceiling, sky, just isn't right. Because you see, I've stayed in ways and traveled in opposite directions, but these composites of protection disappear with losses of affection, so the loss is neglected and worth never respected, but I rise. I rise for every sunset never taken advantage of. You see, I'm a fan of love, but I often watch it blow by. No, you're not hearing me. I'm a fan of love, but I often watch it blow by because of these damaged lungs, and I'm still not scared to breathe. Ribs, chest, rise. I'll rise to the drums your heart valves beat to. You see, the light's always been bright, so it's always been hard to see through, but somehow you've peeked through. And I often write the thoughts inspired by how life would be like to be you. See, you walk with cadences no one's heard before, with the essence of only an herbivore, but so much spice that life can't handle your verbiage for. Your earth, its core is rising. Lava flow, your product gold. And with the strum of spring, your autumn glows. No need to fall when autumn's rose, cause I smell lily leaves, so soliloquies, those different beats, literally, so let your shadow shine past your prime, because your deepest depths can reach the steps of that very place you dream of. So what are you waiting for? Rise. Yeah.
I don't really do spoken words, so this is a whole new realm for me. I think that I'm pretty good, and some would say that I'm pretty nice.
How nice are you?
I'm so nice I can walk the elderly across the street at the green light. I'm so nice.
How nice are you?
I get a video cassette, watch the whole movie, then hit the rewind. I'm so nice. I gave Meek Mill ATLs, he could never be T.I. I'm so nice. I know the Creoles have no formation, but no shade to the beehive. I'm so nice. I get a text message, immediately hit that reply. I'm so nice. And I get a phone call from Ed Murray. I gotta hit that D9. We came from pharaohs and slaves who could pay leave for being strange fruit. Ankles bound, sway trees that hang loose. Brown Jesus, band comparable man, but we make do. Our history changed hands, they claiming the same view. Sound defeat, play through, debate team, pay dues. How could we play you? We play through house, trials to see whether we place you. Crown conceived from the same veins, give birth to Jackies and Babe Ruths. Vows taste sweet, news blaming gangs that gave up guns to raise you. Vows taking occupancy is too easy to frame you. Vows shaking as they read rights, took the red, whites, and remade blues. Vows breaking, vows breaking, vows breaking. And who do you complain to? Now dreams of a millennia. This is a concave roof. You've been drinking too much of the lemonade. Food, bar, don't spar with a dark tank cool. Tutankhamun is too one come on to dissolve they rule. Our tomb get raided. Same time as y'all change shoes. We stay woke, even in our naps we contain rules. So who do y'all pray to? Raise a palm not knowing that y'all pray to. Oh, but God saved you. You praise and pay to say your highlight lose. Cathedral hymns, dim the sign of the hallway tunes. My squad came through. Brothers keeper came up with enough cane. Rock a bull, that's the cop said when he got there and the car came through. This house is not for you. Leave the premises, not too fast. Like you're in hot pursuit, your block is too tame. I'm trying to encase you in parentheses. You're trying to see some product move. Man, fuck the anger you feeling whenever you witness the K-Ball news. I am here, I can call your bluff and bang bang, I get off the hook, you're awful shook. Your squad is deep, but I am lawful. Look, I can see your drive. Have these shots on the rocks, all off the book. My composition to convert. Tutankhamun's and a common crooks. Your pipeline is visible, no wonder your schools failed. Building more youth jails, turning dons to hoods. Casualties, plastered on casualties, and ever since straight bomb, y'all bitches were afraid to don the hood. You called for peace. Peace was called, but the topic ceased. It was not racial. Now you got the police involved. Body cams no longer operate in response to calls, and these shots rang through. Do not resist to stop and frisk. It matters not, never be caught once a cop came through. This is a plight you won't be able to see on the screen. They'll be up on Broadway soon, so get your tickets. Get to your seats early. This our everyday. What good do we do as we begin rehearsing? The country reads deserving. Choose this black expression. Black art from people who just need purpose. The critics are ready and get 5 stars. Nation catching the wave, the company surfing. We open up a dialogue with the dials on the fact we got a long where our femininity is buried. I'm sure that the world is in an uproar. Encore. They're giving a standing O. National anthem is being played. The question why that we're not standing. Another hashtag and tweet surface. You seem nervous. Surely you knew this was all a play. When we get shot, we just bleed curtains. No. Surely you knew that this was all a play. Why did you all leave by 3:30? You seem worried. Don't worry about my sleep. Martin had the dream for me. Matter of fact, cops shoot down those that can actually envision the balcony forming. Now we'll read sermons at your wake, nigga. Now wake, nigga. I want you to be great, nigga. Don't you dare behave. I don't want you to lay, especially on my pillowcase in case you get the case, nigga. Now what is your name, nigga? Come out of that chain, nigga. Where are you from, nigga? Your skin tone bought you a tombstone, nigga. My crew can never do wrong, niggas too strong. You're act just like a woman, nigga. I had a bump in the roadhouse, man, I be for sale. I sing a coupon, nigga. It's few tall, only few told, nigga. Your due diligence is getting you fool's gold, nigga. New whip, new chain, what do we do for niggas? Ooh, with a new coupe, new lady view though, nigga. We're running my block, get that U-hole, nigga. My coupe fade, giving me kudos, nigga. I know that you be juggling. Man, how much do you hold, nigga? The new roll flipping it like a U-Haul, nigga. And that shit drag like it's RuPaul, nigga. Transporting product through the window like great poupon, nigga. Now I want you to pay your hood dues. Don't scope for no loopholes, nigga. Matter of fact, sleep with open pupils, nigga. It's on site, it's on site, it's on site. This block's mine, it's on site, it's on site. Thank you.
Alright, what's up, ringside? Can y'all snap if you're excited for poetry tonight? So before I spit this poem, I'd like to just recognize that the land we're on belongs to indigenous folks. I'd like to recognize that both the state and federal governments continue to displace and harm indigenous people. And I'd like to recognize the centuries of resistance held down by indigenous people. And finally, I'd like to voice my support for the right to self-determination. As someone who identifies as Asian American, I think it's hella complex and hella important for me to reflect on what it means to be both a person whose family has been displaced by imperialism, as well as a person who is a settler on indigenous land. So I just like to hold both those complexities as I offer this poem. I cracked my voice because I'm nervous. Okay, I hope y'all enjoy. Let's rock. In the voice of Seattle's International District, white conquest attempts to demolish me without end, always prepared with power tools to tear my tea houses apart. White conquest is convinced I have overstayed my welcome, continues to swing sledgehammers into me as if my dragon archway can collapse. As if the dynasty in my blood does not date back a millennia. I do not know what it is to be a pile of toppled palace. Once, beyond South Keene and Maynard, colonizers steamrolled my homeland flat. Later, my ancestors fled to American pavement to rebuild their groundwork from gravel. Chinatown, Nihon Machi, Little Saigon. My hotels were constructed for displacement. I will not permit my people to be evicted again. I am unmovable. I have not been obliterated by any bulldozer since I have been here. White conquest, when you attempt to demolish me next, I will be waiting right here for you.
Nikkita Oliver for mayor. You can make some noise for yourself. That's it? For yourself? That's it? Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's mine.
No, you're fine.
Let's get it.
What is beauty?
They say beauty's only skin deep, but I believe the beauty's in the story of your skin that's so much deeper. The complexities of your complexion is a reflection of the legacy of your rebellion against oppression. From the micro to the macro aggressions, the transgressions I understand are depressive, but the way you transform it, sister, that's impressive. I know you come from magic because you're taking tragedies and you flip them into blessings. What is beauty?
They say beauty is only skin deep, but they must have never met you. They must not understand the complexities of your kink, curl, and curve, the concentration of your constellations, their exploration of beauty has never even scratched your surface.
They don't know what society
That life is comprised from you.
They steady undermining
The
you.
lies they try confining you.
They try to dull you down.
Baby, we can see the
Shine in you. Because you're amazing with grace. You know, you made the sun, the moon, the stars, despite this whole world taking up all of your space.
We called your bodies home, relied on your care to keep us stable, but somehow turned around to tell you there were no more seats at the table.
Why do they condemn you for your natural features and say that you're ugly, but beautiful and kindly? Why do they condemn you for twerking, but yet embrace it when it's smiling? Oh, I wish I had a metaphor.
For what?
Why is Catch Me Outside girls steady getting money for some shit they called you ghetto for?
See, they quick to call our women whores, but it feels like a revolving door because the art that they call trash before is what they gave 80 nominations for.
Come on.
See, it seems like these blessings are contingent upon complexion, appropriating and flexing, they're heightening the obsession, they mimicking and reflecting, and I'm left with one question. Are they glorifying the copies while the blueprint gets rejected?
Yes!
Come on.
Yes!
You know, that's like something my aunt said. Because there's way too many people choosing the appetizer over the entree. And that don't make no sense. Because even Adele knows she didn't beat Beyonce.
Yes!
So despite the cultural appropriation and deeming you
Inappropriate.
they try to give you glass ceilings, but you've already
Broken it.
See all these locked doors, but you've already
Open it.
Your success is in existence because you've already
Spoken.
See, you're powerful, and you've never needed a man's permission. See, your definition of beauty can only be defined by its beholder. Be the holder of your truth. Your roots don't grow in someone else's garden. Be guarded.
Come on.
Y'all snap for that.
Come on.
Be guarded. Be the keepers of your esteem. Don't make your life a nightmare for someone else's dream. There is no man on earth worth the compromise. See, most guys only evaluate with their eyes, ignore their lies, aimed at your thighs. Don't cast your pearls among swine. Baby girls, stay defiant, and I promise that I will teach each and every young man in my path what it means to respect you, what is beauty.
They say your beauty is only skin deep. But as a man, I can't affirm that. Because true beauty is when you and your reflection meet, and both of you confirm that. When your perception is perfection in everything that you see, then the answer is in the question.
What is beauty?
Well, beauty is to be.
Yo, Ringside, can I share some new shit with y'all tonight? No! This poem is called Let Me Holla At You. I want the money, power, and respect. Because what I write is real. The only problem is we don't want to hear the real deal. All we want is a beat, a catchy hook to match, an overdose of drugs, guns, hoes, and cash. So what? I gotta lay tracks in line by how I bob and weave, how if the clip's extended all you do is squeeze, by how I'm solo dolo and I don't need a squad to ride, bisexual so that switchblade is switch sides, T-line clippers that are outline the fake inside, shadow fades, I'll cut you with the words and taper down the side, see? But those gun bars, those are all fiction, it's just that hood only pays for tension. A pet peeve, but if I mention rat-a-tat and trigger gripping, that's what gets the most attention. DNA palm written, I should live many moon spans, but I'm a black woman. They transpired to traffic me through native lands. And the plan is domination, but the location is TBD. Targets POC, pipeline to prison, DOC, DHS, DBT, swipe what you need, but it ain't free. Let me holla at you. Matter of fact, let me hear you say my name. Repost, hashtag it, say her name, cause we women, we to blame for everything, right? We birthed y'all, but you act like you can't stand right. Beside us, you left so we went right. I mean, you cut corners and you cut rights. It's simple algebra, simple patriarchy. That if P equals men over women, systematically P always wins. Don't lose sight, stay focused before they switch lanes. Swap gender and that bathroom still holds piss and you can't hold water, meaning you sink ships. A grave digger couldn't get 6 feet deeper into your psyche than Blue can. I'm from a country where you can kneel for your right to be killed on sight in the same breath. Strange fruit. Black bodies hang like halos over my life. It's 2017, but the vibes feel like 69. Many moons, low tides put a cramp in my side. Pelvic muscles feel the change of tides. Can you hear the cries? It's a new page, old news, digital age, and a different noose. No matter how much time accrues, systems win and poor folks lose. Let me holler at you. You're either standing rock or stand your ground. Flint, Michigan needs water now. Long story short, if we don't swim, we drown. Because we're all just a bottom dollar away from being piss poor. Not just them folk, we all kin folk sweeping crumbs off the kitchen floor. If you're a first-time hitter, know that these lines ain't for virgin lungs. Black woman, I exist in tongues. My story won't remain unsung. Background biblical, but what's God to the universe within? No Christian, just a phoenix reborn from the frying pan they set me in. Backbones intact, I misstepping cracks, but they really lynched me and took my mind instead. Being conscious gets divisive, don't forget you were once misled. My next of kin is a question mark, a life led with exclamations, a conjunction. What's its function to a hustler's education? I've been patient on my pursuit to fame, but that panther power never leaves me. It's easy to be a thumb thugger, but if you press me, I'm Ali. My mother said use words to cut. My brothers always had my back, so for us, I'll protect the front. Let me holler at you. And let the poor feast on pink flesh until taste buds taste taro. I know pharaohs with no weapons that cut weak men down to the bone marrow. Let the words simmer like black thought, red beans, and sovereign law. America is a straw man, but I assure you that karma's not. It could take a nation of millions to hold us back if we could just unite. We aren't public enemy #1, so don't believe the hype. My midnight mirage, you into thinking I was invisible, but I'm visible, black and ready as ever. However, the lever is right next to the kill switch. You have the power. So who you gonna holler at it with? Thank you. I just want to say I also am a published author and I have books for sale too. So if you feel it, come holler at me. Thank you.
Y'all show some love for Blue.
Get around.
Yeah. What's up, Nikkita? Where's she at?
She's hiding. She's hiding.
I'm gonna build a temple like a dream. The foundation first, phase brick by brick, like I laid this verse. I used to keep a zip by my side like Cottonmouth and Luke Cage, but I'm done paying the dues. Now I make the dues pay. Like the Grinch with the shine, I can make a hooray. I'm ready for revolution, peace to Kwame Ture. I'm excellently educated, fighting till we liberated. Power to the people, but the haters say we never made it. Her administration don't believe in climate change. I guarantee they'll feel the fire if I find the range. They say that our rhetoric is getting violent, but I still be PG like the Spy Kids. Well, that's an interesting paradox, because I'm never lost or seen defeat. I'm not a pair of socks, I want a pair of Yeezys, but I guess I can't afford it yet. And I'm still fly, these guys ain't even bought it yet. Decipher messages the higher powers try to send us. So in each decision to the demons being condescending, thirsty for the truth and I'm quenching. Word to Flint, I'm never flinching. Gerald fits and elevated like Ella, if I forgot to mention. I'm in between the peacekeepers and the heat seekers. Strays flying by from both sides. You know how beef lingers on your fingers even when you're trying to keep your hands clean. Pop, 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 pop. Then a man screams. Bodies bouncing on the floor like it's a dance scene. So whenever cops around, we getting antsy. But never panic when opposition attacking. We gon' take advantage of everything we demanded, from Attica to Africa. Word to Mama Makita, my people push you moja till it's over and we packing up. Peace to every soldier trying to make it through a sentence. Probably give a noun to get a better preposition. And for every punctuation that would ever try to stop us, we gon' keep the run on as we come in for the comments. From the coppers to the courts, where they shooting for the sport, we gon' free the revolution coming soon with no remorse, cause I see the two holes in the system. Either suspect or the victim. If you got a conviction, then it gotta be mentioned, despite if you write for the job description. But we can't give white folk all the credit. It ain't all their fault we disconnected. We have what we need to evolve. We got problems but don't want to solve. And you might shed a tear for Tamir, but never forget why the king is not here. So, I might invest in a weapon. I'll be the Fresh Prince with a new Will Smith and Wesson. Dripping with races and pushing the paces. On the corner with a 38. Body bagging with a litter grabber. He on the block, reaching for the waist. Do you fight for your life or you fight for respect? Taking them chances could win you regret. Walk in the club with a full loaded tech and you looking for trouble, you might end up dead. But when a nigga got a gun, he a threat. But when the cracker got a gat, he protects. That's a double standard on the Second Amendment. 2 + 2 got a full sentence, that's life. Bro, be free.
I just want to acknowledge this group a little bit. There's some ride or dies. They be doing some new shit every month. I just appreciate them more than ever. If y'all would just show your love to these poets, please.
Yes.
Welcome to our sit-down session. Usually when we have a
like inside the actor's studio.
Oh, it's so much better.
I only watched that one time with Dave Chappelle. That's a good one. Y'all should watch that.
What's so special is that I have cue cards. I don't do this. This reminds me of a moment where I wanted to be Oprah as a child. And then I thought, so much more. So much more. Is that okay with you? Great, good times. I spilled my water a little bit. That's live. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Y'all say hi live, Facebook. How you doing? You know what? That was pretty pitiful. We're gonna work on that. Y'all say hi, Facebook. Hi. Ooh, so much better, so much better. All right, let's get into the thing of it. It's the thing that everybody wants to know about Miss Nikkita Oliver. What is inside your Mary Poppins bag?
Inside.
She carries this purse. Now, Rice has it behind her. This thing is massive. If y'all have not seen her lug this thing around, she takes it with her everywhere. And I swear, everything in the, like, under the moon, over the moon is inside of it. So what is inside your Mary Poppins bag?
Files. A notebook. I take a notebook everywhere. I have ever since I was 5. You never know when the inspiration will strike and you want to write a poem. Or you need to take down a badge number. My LexisNexis evidence book is like this big. I keep a pocket constitution in there. And
damn.
My laptop. Yeah, I leave. You never know when you might get a headache.
I feel like that's like not even like a third of what's inside there. I mean, it literally is like an accordion. Rice will be here all night with the commentary.
Okay, well, next question.
No comment. When y'all see that, make sure y'all point something out. Be like, oh, that's new, right? No, that's been there. No comment.
What's the next question?
Quality time. I do this to Nikkita, especially on her birthday, and anytime I get a chance to, like, you know, fully roast her, but I can't do that now that she's all, you know, mayoral. So this is the inside scoop moment. You're not gonna get this at a debate session. This is quality time. This is like my sister. Okay, so quality inside moment, okay? But we'll get real, it's okay, I promise you. Did you just get a phone call? What was that beep? Who beeping?
I'm mostly worried about like the voters that came and are gonna be like, she's not serious at all.
I know, I got real questions too, don't worry, I got you too. But I thought you should actually get to know who Nikkita really is too. You know, that real down-to-earth chick that's be chilling on the side. Which brings me to a question that's much further down in my like stack of wonders. But she's always next door and she boxes. So tell me why you box.
So I box at Arcaro Boxing, which is next door. Give it up for Arcaro. It is a boxing gym owned by Trisha Arcaro Turton, who is an incredible woman, a queer woman, who holds down a space that's not just about our physical health in boxing, but really is about our mental and our spiritual well-being. She does a great job of tying boxing to your actual life experience. One of my favorite quotes from Coach is, if boxing doesn't help you be better at life, you shouldn't be boxing. And so I started boxing in law school. As you can imagine, I might have had a few classes that made me want to fight. You can take the girl out of Indiana, but you cannot take the Indiana out of the girl. And so I decided, because I was grown now, I needed to find ways to help myself ground and really process essentially the trauma I was going through in law school. And so my brother and his partner also boxed, and so I joined Arcaro, where my first class was a sparring class, and I will not lie, I got my beat. And I cannot believe I went back, but I did. Something about getting beat up made me go back. No, is that why I'm running for mayor? No, just being honest, y'all. No, boxing has really been a place that has taught me about my self-determination and my individual power to be disciplined, but also, you know, as a black queer woman, I already knew I could take a lot of hits. I think what I did not know is I could give hits back. And so boxing has really helped me understand what it means to be involved in an exchange of being self-determined and actually actively exercising both my strength and my vulnerability.
Word. Now, most people, you know, we all jokingly aside, this is real talk. So tell me, why are you running?
I feel like I've told this story so many times, but every time it makes me feel kind of emotional, because the starting point was a very emotional place. I went to Standing Rock during the first week of November, and I went with a friend of mine, Day Schick, Ali Steenis, and Aaron Kimino, and we went because I went to be a legal observer and to figure out how I could support the legal collective, the Red Dog Legal Collective. But they went because they're all involved in the church community. And Day Schick is a clergy member. And so clergy from across the nation, from across Turtle Island, also called the United States, were coming to say that the discovery doctrine was not acceptable and to overturn it, at least in word, and to say as clergy to identify the ways in which the church had played, the part the church had played in stealing Native land and basically being complicit in genocide. And so we went there to be a part of that, and we were there for almost a week, and the other car that we rode with left 4 hours before us, and on their drive back in Montana there was an accident and the driver was killed. And I remember driving the long 30-hour road back to Seattle, literally just gripping the wheel like we didn't have a choice. We had to drive this car back. And thinking to myself, all Obama had to do was sign a piece of paper and my friend would still be alive. And there would not be thousands of people driving to Standing Rock to challenge a pipeline that ultimately will poison the water of millions of people. We know that pipeline will burst. Like it's statistically significant. It will happen. There's evidence. And so that was the first thing. But the night we got back was the Monday before the election. And so we sat together at my house that Tuesday watching the results, going in and out of laughter and mourning, and also just like, oh my gosh, like, y'all, I think this dude is about to win. Not that the other option was incredibly better, but at least we had a longer chance of survival. And so when the Cheeto won, we were in a state of disbelief, but also a state of feeling disempowered. And I kept having these lunches and coffee dates with friends because we were like, yo, we gotta support each other. And we would sit down and start talking about like, what can we do? And each time I'd have one of these conversations, it came down to how do we have a hyper-local grassroots movement that allows people to engage the political process in a self-empowered way, in a self-determined way, that we can actually change things at least locally, that we can be a real sanctuary city, that we can actually be about equity and justice in a place that uses the name of Chief Sealth as like our beacon, in a county named after Martin Luther King. And so I started telling all those folks, like, let's all just get together one time. because time is limited, right? And we started meeting every Sunday night for hours, writing basically a manifesto of non-negotiables, of vision and dream of things we hope to see. And in the midst of those conversations, we started being like, yo, why don't we run some people for office? We're really smart. We're coming up with some good stuff. We are, right? And so we started inviting some elders and aunties to that table because it's so important that we're intergenerational, that we learn from what's happened in the past, but also acknowledge that presently our young people and our young adults have an incredible amount of brilliance about the world that we presently live in, and so we have to be intersectional about that movement. So the elders started saying, well, y'all should make a list of who you think should run. And I was typing, I was the note taker, and they kept saying Nikkita, and I would just skip over that name. I don't know her. But then they started like coming at me individually. They sit me down one at a time and say, yo, we really think that you should run. You're the sort of accountable, transparent person who's willing to draw necessary hard lines in the sand. And we want you to know we trust you in that sort of position and we would have your back. And the more folks kept saying that, the more I had to really take it seriously. And also to think about what I've been given. Not everybody gets to go to law school on a full ride. That's a privilege, it's also a responsibility. And so I really sat with that. I sat with friends like you and other folks that are in this room. Some of them were the poets on the stage. And over time, it came down to, if we don't run now, most of us will no longer be able to live in this city. If we don't run now, we won't be able to mitigate the harm of this federal administration that, to be honest, is targeting 99% of people. While black, brown, and cash poor folks are gonna be the first ones to take the hardest hits. To be real, they're coming for you too, rich white men. Like, everybody's gonna get it under this administration. Nobody will come out of this 4 years whole if we don't figure out ways to mitigate that harm. And so it comes down to, at the hyper-local level, if we're really willing to listen to the grassroots, to lift from the bottom and pull at the margins, we can build a healthy Seattle that is not just healthy, but is also equitable, but is also leading the way across the nation, what it looks like to respond when someone like 45 gets into office. How do we at a local level make sure all of our people are taken care of?
Y'all can show me that. So what does it look like to be the first woman in 91 years to be running for mayor in Seattle?
Well, I'm not the first woman to run. Joey Gray ran last election.
True.
I think there was another woman who ran with her.
If you were to win, you would be the first one in 91 years.
Yeah, if I were to win, I'd be the first woman in 91 years, the first woman of color, the first black woman. When I was at Standing Rock, I got told a story about the 7th generation right now is the one that will actually save us all. And part of the story I was being told was that there's something very special about our matriarchs, about our women and their ability to nurture us all. And that really started to speak to me about how we combat what patriarchy has done to us at a lot of levels. And it's played out in our government. It's the reason why most of our government is made up of men, and women often are made to feel like we don't have the capacity to lead. And so at the schools that I work at Washington Middle School and Franklin High School, and get to hang out at Rainier Beach High School on the regular. I've had tons of young women come up to me and say, you inspire me. You have me believing I can do things I didn't think was possible. And so I think on the one hand, us just having the audacity as the People's Party and myself as Nikkita to run is transforming the way that young women and hopefully also young trans women, because we have to include them in order for feminism to truly achieve what it wants to achieve, to inspire that we have the capacity to do these things even though society has told us we don't. I also think it's time to try something different. We have not I mean, only allowing men to be in leadership roles, only voting the same types of men into leadership roles is not actually leading us to a better society. And that's not to say that those men shouldn't lead. It is to say that we need balance. It is to say we need equity. That we need more women, more trans women, more women of color and trans women of color at the table. We need more queer folks and non-gender conforming folks at the table because our voices are being left out. Right. And so part of my goal as mayor would be to really move forward on developing a truly participatory government structure. Yes. Not one where we bring legislation to folks and say, hey, make a public comment, and we like 99% won't take it into consideration. It's to say, on the front end, let us know what you need, let us know how this government can best serve you, because we're supposed to be public servants, and that'll be the sorts of legislation and ordinances and resolutions that we bring to the table. And I also think the other piece about this for me is the Seattle process, where we're like, we're gonna build another commission, and the commission will figure out some information for another commission, and that commission will eventually write something for a commission, and then we might commission something. Now, I'm all about process, right, when it's actually inclusive and effective. And what I would like to challenge Seattle to do is to think about, how do we build a process that not only includes but centers the voices that are often most pushed out? How do we ensure that those voices get to inform what our city looks like? Because when we bring those who are pushed out and center them, what actually happens is we all get to come closer. We all get to be healthier. And I think as a woman, economics tells us this, that when you go into communities that are struggling economically and you put the money in a woman's hands, it is more likely to benefit the community as a whole. This is just science, y'all. This is evidence, right? It's evidence-based. I think getting more women involved in leadership in our city will have the same effect, that by allowing us to have that space and that voice, you'll naturally see more people in our city be positively impacted.
So you had just talked about, having this inclusion with the community, and you just recently had, these 2 listening sessions, one in the Mount Baker apartments and one up in the Northgate area. Tell me what those listening posts did for you through the platform, and just your stance and what you feel like Seattle needs.
First of all, thank you to everybody who came out to the first 2 listening posts. We'll be having more. For me, that's been one of the most powerful points of the campaign thus far, was seeing people I didn't necessarily expect to come into the room, come and decide which area they wanted to participate in, whether that was healthcare, education, transportation, housing, safety, public safety, that's a big one, y'all. Public safety. People got to self-select, and then as a group with a facilitator, answered questions that, what is Seattle doing well? What does Seattle need to do better? What are some of your needs? What would you like to see? And what started to happen was, as I listened to the conversations, you could see all the ways in which Seattle needed to make its policies intersectional. So as organizers and activists, we tend to talk about intersectionality within our identities. And what's oftentimes missing at the governmental level is intersectionality in policy making. And so those conversations started to become very real for me about how housing impacts public transportation, how public transportation impacts public safety, how public safety impacts healthcare, and all of these things really need to be dealt with less in silos and more in sort of conversations to help us see where they're interconnected. The other thing that was powerful was we didn't talk much at those. As the organizers, we literally, most of the time in the space was the folks in the groups having conversations, taking note of what they wanted to share, and at the end, these presentations where people got to share out their brilliance. And I'm fully convinced that the sort of brilliance we need to transform Seattle into the equitable city we want it to be lives in the community, lives in the most impacted communities. Both the listening post and the one at Mount Baker, at the Mount Baker Artist Lofts, had very different crowds, but at the root of everything, there were actually so many similar needs. And so it helped me really think about how do you speak cross city, north end, south end, east, west, in a way that helps people see that something like public safety, like police reform, police transformation actually is essential for all of us. And it might manifest differently, but we actually all kind of have the same needs there. Or how do you help us see that $74 million deficit in education? Well, people in the north end may not feel it the same as people in the south end. Reality is, at the end of the day, it makes our whole community less healthy. And those were the sorts of conversations that were happening, and it was inspiring. I was tired on those days, I won't even lie, but the moment I started hearing people talk, it was energizing. It was really people power.
One of the things that has come up a lot in not just the People's Party, but in your verbiage and how you address people is the word community. And tell me, what is community to you? Like, what is community for the city?
You know, community is multifaceted. There's a reason why the People's Party chose to use S without an apostrophe. And it was a desire to acknowledge the many peoples that make up our many communities in this larger community we call Seattle.
Yes.
Yeah, you gotta clap for that. That's dope. I think it's incredible that we have so many different stories. I think in stories. As a poet, I think about narrative and the many different narratives that carry throughout our city, and yet at the same time all end up interweaving into Seattle as a whole. And so I define community within the many stories we tell, the many characters that we play. And we don't all play the same character in the same place all the time. We don't all always, while our story might seem the same, it moves throughout the city. And so I think about community as the many peoples who make that up and the ways in which we tell our stories together. My hope for Seattle when I think about community is that we can look at what stories have been made invisible and which stories have made hyper-visible, and how do we bring balance to that so our story as a whole, as a Seattle community, begins to reflect the incredible diversity and opportunity of shared knowledge that exists in this space. But to be frank, the system doesn't want us to do that. We live in a world that wants us to only elevate one storyline, that wants us to only engage in one storyline. And so I think as communities, as the many peoples of these communities that make up Seattle, we really have to begin to question and think about who gets invisibilized around us, and how do we leverage and elevate those stories by whether it's stepping back or stepping forward or creating space or getting out of spaces that maybe we don't belong. There are a lot of people who don't always get the opportunity to speak. So I define community by the many peoples and the many stories we get to tell in this one big, beautiful Seattle story.
The other word that normally comes up when we have conversations is, besides community, is the youth. And so I know like the youth is like your kryptonite. Like if there's a baby in the room, and Nikkita's gonna hold it. Or if there's a teen of any sort, she's gonna be hovering over there. And so what is it about kids and teens that drives you?
Grown people drive me crazy. You know, because you know how we grown people do? We're like, I'm grown now, I know stuff. I got degrees now, I know stuff. But young people still have a hunger for knowledge and knowing. And not just knowledge and knowing of facts, but a knowledge of knowing of self and others. And so anytime I get to spend time in a space with young folks, it reminds me of how youthful energy pushes us to get to know other people because we're trying to get to know ourselves. I also believe that young people have not yet been enculturated or taught to assimilate fully into a world that only wants them to function a singular way. And part of what I think we're all pushing up against in this current climate is that there is an identity and an idea that has been made the singular identity and idea that's most important. And sorry, you can't eat cash. You can't drink oil. And young people are constantly being audacious enough to call those things out. Young people keep me humble. Like, one of the quotes in my classroom is, I will not ask you to do anything that I myself will not also do or have not already done. And don't play, youth will call you out. They will be like, Miss Nikkita, I'm not doing that because you haven't done it. And then I have to own up to it. I have to be like, you're actually right. Can I ask you to do that? Because that doesn't fall in line with my analysis and my principles. And so I think what I love most about youth is they don't hesitate to call you out. But most of the time, they do it because they love you. And I think grown folks sometimes forget what compassion looks like for other people's humanity and human dignity. We get so caught up in wanting to be right, or wanting to get that position, or wanting to hold that place, that we call people out of envy, or out of a desire to take, whereas oftentimes children and youth are doing it because they genuinely want to see you hold to what you said. And that's beautiful to me, and that's something that keeps me grounded and keeps me honest and keeps me transparent and accountable. So as much time as I can spend with youth as possible, I try to make that happen. The other thing is, I never tell young people they're the leaders of tomorrow. They are in fact the leaders of today. And yeah, clap for our young people. And I say that because we owe them. When I think about juvenile justice and the youth jail, a lot of y'all know I've been a known youth jail advocate. It is because I think adults have been incredibly unaccountable in this horrible world that we've handed down to young people. Yes. A world that has accepted inequality and injustice and oppression as okay. And so there are young folks who are forced to make incredibly hard decisions. And when they make those decisions before, they've reached the full development that science tells us about their brains, we punish them for interacting with the world we created in the place that we gave them to interact in. And I think grown folks need to learn to be more accountable, and then we can start asking young folks to be more accountable. We set the standard, we set the example, and young people don't hesitate to call that out. Yeah. And they shouldn't hesitate to. There's an indigenous proverb that says we were not given the earth by our ancestors, by our elders, but we're actually borrowing it from our children. And part of the reason I ran was, I'm thinking, what kind of world are we leaving for our babies, for our leaders, for our young people? And this is not the world that I intend to leave behind.
So speaking on that, and I want to give it to the youth first. Is there any youth actually in the building right now that have a question for Nikkita? That was a little clap.
I saw you, Brian.
Go ahead and stand up, bro. Tell me your name, what neighborhood you from, and then your question.
Okay, my name is Ty. I am 19 years old. I come from, I guess, South Seattle. Franklin grad. For me, my question to you is, what does self-care look like when so many people have, and the things that I've seen have come at you with the whole how dare you mindset run against Ed Murray, who's done so much for the city. What does self-care look like for you as an activist and as a person?
Good question. It's a great question.
Word.
I'll be honest, I don't always know. I'm a person in discipline, so right now it looks like I get my runs in, my miles in a week. I try to get 12 a week. I get to the boxing gym at least twice. I don't eat gluten, and not because I'm a Seattleite, but because I don't feel good about it. I also don't eat dairy. I try to write, but I'll be honest, since March 8th when we started the campaign, figuring out what the balance is has been very hard. because the political process has been set up for people who are independently wealthy. And so here I am working full time. And the first week was super hard, and I'll tell you why. I'm in class with my 8th graders and my 11th graders, and I'm realizing I'm not giving them the full attention I want to give them because my phone is blowing up, because my email is blowing up, because I have all these things I have to get to. And that to me was a sign that I had to figure out balance, because my #1 priority, regardless of this mayoral race, will continue to be my students.
Right.
Because regardless of what happens in this race, that's who I'm accountable to.
Yep.
And I owe them my full attention. And so the end of that first week, I decided I would at least make sure I got my runs in. I would at least make sure that my diet stayed good, because that maybe was the amount of self-care I could manage, knowing that my schedule was now like I had 3 full-time jobs. I'm very lucky though to say that I have folks like the People's Party who are really pushing me to make sure I take care of myself. And I think that is actually the key to effective self-care for me, is having good folks around me who will point out when, yo, you looking a little run down. You might want to get some sleep tonight. Let me take that for you. Eat this piece of chicken.
That happens every day.
I look run down every day. Oh no, no, just playing. That's a great question.
Just to eat.
And I think balance is hard. And I say that because as Black, brown, or cash poor folks, or any marginalized group you come from, we're not activists simply because we chose to do it. The word activist means active. And I am actively pursuing my liberation. I don't have a choice about that. So I don't really have a choice about how hard I gotta run right now, unless I'm just gonna simply accept the beat down. And to be frank, I'm not going to. So if self-care looks like discipline, then that's what it's gonna be. If self-care looks like a nap, well, I might have to take a nap.
Is there another youth that has a question? I'm gonna do it for my youth first. In the back, give me just a second, I got you. That's why we got travel mics. Say your name, your neighborhood, your question.
My name is Chai from South Seattle, and I'm asking, you and the crowd, because, I feel like we're all here for you, It's pretty much decided. I'm trying to figure out how we all help, get to the people that aren't there yet, the older crowd, the youth is already here. We got to educate the rest of them, so we got to figure out how to get to who does not know right now. So, since we're all here, might as well talk about that, For real.
That's a great question. I'm gonna direct, can you step forward real quick one more time? Lauren, will you raise your hand? So there's this lovely human being right here, Lauren. She is a high school student, and she's going to be organizing our high school cohort for the People's Party. So maybe get her contact information. She will be working that youth angle, so I'd love to have you involved in that conversation. I think you're asking a big question.